What are the numbers you're using for this? Make this accessible to the public and to the key decision makers you need on board. Okay. Other principles are the predictability of policies. That's why you need this long-term vision. Okay. Monitoring. Does it really work? Okay. Have your key partners report on their results. Verify those results. This is all important, and I'm sure this is most of this is boring for you because those are, I'm pretty sure, demands that you have for the government in any policy area, right? And then policy mainstreaming. I think it's very important for all of us to understand that climate policies, energy policies are not just one segment. Our economies are entirely built on fossil fuel, right? So if we want to change, we need to bring everybody on board, not just the energy sector, not just the banking sector, not just the transportation sector. It's not just an environmental issue. This is a trade issue. This is important. This is about competition, of course. So you need to mainstream it, okay? So this is where we come in. We think energy roadmaps are an important link between the vision that this government has on paper, okay, and the concrete steps that need to happen on the ground, okay? And we do this with an integrated approach. We start with a renewable energy assessment. So we want to look into what solar resources are there, what wind resources are there, what water resources are there, where are they? In the area of energy efficiency, where do you get most, as the Americans say, most bang for the buck, okay? So what's the best place to invest your money? That's what we do in the assessment part of this. Energy efficiency, I mentioned that. Then the next step is, it doesn't help you to have a lot of sun somewhere hundreds of kilometers away from where you need the energy, because when you transport it there, first of all you have to build the transmission line, that adds to your cost, then you're going to lose energy while you transport it. Not very helpful, okay? So you need to integrate it. You want to find solar resources close to the cities, not hundreds of kilometers away, okay? So, and then you run into technical problems, okay? And we can discuss those a little bit more. The higher the percentage of renewable energies in the grid get because of the intermittencies of resources. You all know the argument: the sun doesn't always shine, particularly not at night, I heard. The wind doesn't always blow, okay? So this is a problem for the grid, especially if you have a relatively old grid like you have in most parts of Jamaica. You need to address this. It doesn't help us to just build. The Chinese, for example, are becoming increasingly a real leader in this, but some of the power plants that they build are not even yet connected to the grid. Why? Because it's a problem to the grid, and there are technical problems there. So we want to address that. Then there's a socioeconomic analysis, and that's maybe where most of our discussions here, or at least yesterday, were about. Like, isn't that all unaffordable for a poor country, a relatively poor country like Jamaica? And I think I have the arguments to convince you otherwise. Okay, and I'm going to come to this in the last section, but we do a socioeconomic assessment. We're not just saying, like, here's a lot of sun, you cannot somehow integrate it to the grid, or here are microgrid solutions or off-grid solutions. Just build it, it's fine, We're going to try to help you organize some money because there's some international funding out there that you can get your hold on, whether it's the CDM or other international funds. That's not enough. Let's look into, does it cost jobs? What's Jamaica, the tourism sector is one of the key sectors here, obviously. So is it a problem to have the wind plants close to the hotels, or might it actually help you bring some crazy Germans that are very interested in the environment over here? Like, what are the experiences out there? There's very different experiences. Costa Rica wants to go carbon neutral by 2030, 0 greenhouse gas emissions, also a developing country. Why? I tell you why, because they're good people, but also because they want to have economic success with this. And they know that if they're put into a catalog, a hotel catalog in Germany, this hotel runs on 100% renewable energy. Not everyone, but some people make their decisions, their purchase decisions, they base it on it. This is the real reason. Okay? Just very quickly, I want to run through that. Then the policy assessment, the financing options, that's where it's really getting political, exciting, controversial. Okay, that's when it's really about, so what are the mechanisms that you want to employ? Who's it going to hurt? Who's going to help? Okay, lots of difficulties there. This is not an easy exercise at all. But I think we have a lot of best practice examples from other countries from the past, from talking to you, from learning to you, so that we can make this happen, so that there's something in it for almost everyone. You know, the fossil fuel producers themselves, it's not going to be easy for them. I have to admit that. So policies that are working, I need to be quicker here, in other countries that we would like to suggest, that we would like to talk through, that we would like to see whether they do fit in the current regulatory framework of feed-in tariffs, of course. It's emission trading. More and more developing countries start to develop emission trading in particular sectors. The Chinese have picked it up. A number of other countries have picked it up. They do sectoral emission trading, very effective. Carbon taxes, in some countries tax the so-called bads, so the fossil fuels, and they use the money for investment for the goods, okay? And the banks, of course, play an important role in this, okay? And the investors. So they direct it away from what they think costs the society towards something that they think is good for the society, which is renewable energy, because it is secure energy supply. It doesn't have the externalities of fossil fuels, the healthcare costs, and so on and so forth. It creates jobs, okay? So carbon taxes, if you hear it and you think, oh my God, we don't have the money for this, there's a way to do this and make this happen in developing countries, and it has been proven before. There's renewable portfolio standards for utilities, so that's more a regulatory thing. You tell them how much to do, how much the percentage of renewables has to be, so not a market mechanisms like the other ones are. And then there's tax credits, all sorts of tax credits. We might run into issues here with the IMB and their policies, okay? So we have to look, IDB. We have to look into this more closely. IMF is what I mean, of course, sorry, IMF. So the IMF regulation, thank you. So you all know that the IMF puts out some rules for how the tax system has to be structured, that there needs to be as many revenues as there will be expenses. So, there are some issues we need to look into more closely.